Greetings, I am Morris Plains, and today I will be covering how to set up your Taclights and lasers on your primary weapon system in BRM5. Now the way I have set mine up here on the Mark 18 is that I have my flashlight as a flashable entity with the G right there. You can flash. It's useful when you approach a room and you just want to do a quick flash inside to observe it. But I also have V, which is a toggle button, so I can go through clear with a flashlight if I'm not worrying about being detected. Next, I have Y as my laser button here, and H as my IR illuminator, which you can see under infrared here. Now the way I have these set up is under options here. If you go to keybinds, and you go down here to weapons functions. This is weapon function. I have G, V, Y, and H. Disregard these two as I never actually use them, but basically those are our 4 weapon functions that we'll be using today. And that is how they work on my weapon system. I will now be showing you how to do it on yours. As we can see here, I have an M300C, an LA23-PAC, and an SRD pressure switch. Now, these 3 in combination together work very nicely, at least in my experience. And the way to set this up is that you will have an output behavior on your flashlight as selected. This is very important, as with illuminator, these two will not be consistent with the pressure switch and the flashlight, and they will interrupt each other. They will not work, so you must have selected under there. And I prefer to use the C variant of this flashlight, as the V variants all have that little second F there that represents an IR light setting, which I do not need, as I already have an illuminator on the laser. But after setting up your output behavior on the flashlight, you will make sure that its pin is set to yellow, or pin 2. Really, the color does not matter, but I've selected yellow for this. And then here you can see that our pressure switch also has it on yellow. Now for the output behavior on the flashlight, it is set to G right there, and for the laser it is set to V. Now this allows us to use flashing with the G directly into the flashlight, but it allows us to use our pressure switch to hold it on toggled. I find that very useful in many scenarios. Now here, as we can see, I have my red pin selected to my laser diode, and it is under Y. That is simply so that I can use my illuminator with H plugged directly into the laser. That's how my system works. Now I'll show you how to do it on a brand new system. First, I will be installing night vision here so that we can actually take a look at the illuminator once our weapon is ready. And I am just going to select a nice M4 carbine. Put a Riz rail on there so that it's nice and easy to see. And we're going to select a nice simple sight. Now to set this up, we need a laser and a flashlight. So I'm going to select the AN-PEG-15 and put on one of the C variants or the TP, which I'm going to use here, as once again the V has an illuminator in them, which I never actually use, to be frank. Now remember that for output behavior under your flashlight, it needs to be selected. That is very important. And for your flash button, which I have bound to G, we're just going to use weapon function 1, and that allows that to happen. Now you're going to select a pin. Let's use green for this demonstration, and that is for the flashlight. And you can put your SRD somewhere on the weapon. Now I select the SRD because it has 2 pins to access, 2 inputs. Same with the SR, that has 2 pins, and the RMT as well, as I'll show you right here, 2 pins. Unfortunately, the fast tap and the KV5P only have a single pin, so they won't work for this demonstration, as you need 2 in order to use all of these attachments together. So since our flashlight is on green pin, I'm going to put it on pin 3 as well, which is green. And now for my toggle button, I'm going to use weapon function 2, which I have bound to V. So remember, on the flashlight, we're just going to have it be G, and up here, we're going to have it be V. Now you can flip these around once you go down into your keybinds, and you can do it the other way around if you wish, but I prefer it this way. So we're going to do it this way for this demonstration. And now, that's all for the flashlight, so if you just wanted it that way, you can do that with a flashlight. If you just want a flashlight on your weapon, simply use either the fast tap or the KV5P, and well, that's all you need in order to do the flash and toggle modes. But I usually run a laser as well, so we're just going to go to our either laser diode or IR illuminator. Here it's called flashlight under the laser, and I usually do the laser diode under red. It's nice and easy to remember. And then we're going to go back here to the input under red, and we're going to select weapon function 3, which I have bound to Y for my laser. And then for the output behavior on the laser, we're going to select the illuminator, and that is already bounded itself to weapon function weapon function 4, which is under H. And that should be all for your weapon system. It should not be set up, so when we go in game, now take a look at this weapon. G does a nice flash, V does a toggle, Y does the laser toggle, and H does IR toggle, which we will put the nods on for. There you go, IR toggle. Now, unfortunately, you can't actually select the laser mode as far as I'm aware, so you have to go through the tab menu all the way to your laser and select IR, and then it will be visible under IR. But once you have selected IR, you can toggle the laser all the same, and it will remain under IR. And then you just take the nods off, and it remains. So you need to go back under laser and select visible if you want to be able to see it under visible light. And technically, you can go ahead and do this flash and toggle method for all of these attachments, such as an IR illuminator and a laser mode. I personally don't do that because it's very complicated, and I won't be covering that because of its complexity. And, well, in no realistic scenario will you ever need to do flashing on a laser or an IR illuminator. I usually just do it on a flashlight because I find it useful, and that's the only reason it's really on there. But yes, that will be the conclusion of this tutorial, and this is Morrow's Plains signing off.